Hi guys, my name's Alexis.
And
Uh,
I'm Jennifer.
there you go. So chipper. So we are the developers for Perseverance for a game called Blayse Academy. It is an RPG. If you watched our previous video, then you already have an idea of what we're talking about. Otherwise, I will link it in the description below. So today we're just going to kind of it's like an update, community update. We just want to tell you guys what we've been working on, kind of the progress we've made, because this is all pre-production, so this is all just
A lot of
figuring out,
updates.
yeah, figuring out what we wanted to do, like kind of hammering down deeper into certain stuff, and a lot of lore, a lot of world building. This is why
We've
you're,
established a lot since the last video.
yeah, it was a couple weeks ago, I think, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Jennifer's gonna lead this video, so Jennifer, take it away.
um, okay, so I think to start off with, just because, like, one thing that we were really trying to establish when we were making the first video was figuring out the history behind the Academy, and Alexis actually had the brilliant idea that she sent me one morning of being like, what if we had all of these gods and goddesses that were the ones that came together to make the school and make it what it is now.
That was my idea.
That was your idea. You sent that to me.
Surprise myself sometimes. Okay.
And so those gods and goddesses have become the houses, which we kind of like. We had the houses, but I don't think that we really had established at that point that they would also have been the founders of the academy.
Mm-hmm.
So that came afterwards that, oh, yeah, these were the people who came together and were like, we want to build a school that's focusing on this. And it kind of just evolved from there.
Yes.
Um, so that was a lot of fun. And going into like, I mean, because there's so much Greek mythology on all of these different gods and goddesses out there that it's kind of hard to just roll with one version of it and be good. So, creative license has been taken, but
Yes.
it's mythology, so,
Yes.
um, so that was, I think, one of the bigger things that we've recently established, which honestly has just kind of led into pretty much everything else that we have now.
Yeah.
In creating the academy and the school and like figuring out the history of it and how everything is kind of
Built
gone,
around
yeah,
that.
been built upon with that, which kind of sort of leads us into the specialties, which we didn't really talk about
We
at
didn't. I don't
all,
think
I
we
don't
even
think,
mentioned
in the
last
last
time.
video.
I don't even think we
um,
mentioned it.
yeah, which I think was something that we had thought of at the very beginning, but we didn't really have a lot on it by that point, like enough to really know what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And now we do. Now we have like a whole slew of what we have in mind for what the specialties are and what they entail.
We
And we're still coming
definitely.
up with them.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot more than what we started with, and we're still kind of figuring out more as we like go along further in the process, which is kind of fun because there's plenty of space for more. We just haven't like discovered what they should be yet.
Yeah, which has been a fun process for us of what we started doing to help us figure that out,
Yeah.
as per your suggestion.
That was also my suggestion.
Writing.
Oh, I'm half decent at things stuff.
But yeah, that was your thing too, of like writing about it so that we could put ourselves into our world, and that's kind of how we've started to figure out more of um,
More
the
in
lore
depth.
as a whole,
Yeah. So
which
that's how
has
we kind
become
of. Sorry, go ahead.
really fascinating.
Yeah, well, that's how we picked up on like more specificities on like the what it means to be in a certain house, like what their personality more likely is going to look like. And I think my favorite part that we kind of figured out is like each house isn't like 'cause there's so many different types of people. So there's like a spectrum of people when you're in a certain house. And obviously, in that spectrum, you're gonna have all sorts of like different, I want to say different shades of personalities that fit in that house. So you'd have two very, I guess, personality seeming different people, but their core values are very much the same.
Yeah,
You just might
which we
express it differently.
yeah, which we've kind of had fun figuring out in our own writing process with looking at various personalities. Because I mean, with all the like even just with like the different houses, they have their own personality, even from like the specialties,
Yeah.
which has been fun to play around with.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part about it is, and this kind of swirls back to the founders or the pillars, because while we were trying to come up with a better idea of who the founders are, what they value, and like if they maybe have a, I don't want to say theme, but like people that end up being in those like the founders themselves, what specialty they would fit in, and then that house based off that founder, like what do they tend to routinely be in specialty wise. Um, so like for example, what do we have? We have like Aries, which is very I think the best way we describe Aries is they're very competitive, um,
Mhm.
in a not in like a destructive, almost non apologetic way. So they kind of do what they need to do to win. Um, Very Slytherin like, I feel like. Um,
Yeah.
and we kind of came across the idea that for specialty wise, they might be more into wanting to like manipulate other people to get what they want. So specialties that kind of fall under that category for them would be like mind manipulation, like trying to do some Jedi mind tricks, and then time manipulation. So just
Did not
essentially,
take long for you to enter that Star Wars
yeah,
reference.
essentially anything that would help them have an upper hand against like enemies or something like that.
While also reflecting like their paradoses, their house.
Yes.
Um, and that's still something we're kind of like figuring out as we go along too. But I like the idea that they're associated.
Mhm.
Um, that's been kind of fun, and even like just based on who the gods and goddesses are, has been making it very interesting to kind of divvy those out.
Yep.
I think another thing we've been really heavily working on, like pretty consistently, are both the classes and the spellcasting levels.
Yeah, we need to. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be actually kind of hard,
Because I
but
mean, we have the
interesting.
basic gist of like the spellcasting levels,
Yeah.
but like we haven't really, and we have a better idea of what the school structure looks like, and now what the classes look like.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as like the heavier details, I guess, of everything, we've still yet to kind of really establish a lot of that.
Yeah. So like, just thinking about it, just to kind of elaborate on like the spellcasting levels. If you think of like reading levels while you were going through school,
Mm.
um, it's just like the higher the reading level, the more difficult it is. The more, I don't know, literate you are. Maybe that's like the wrong way to put it, but it's kind of the same way with spell casting. So obviously at the lower levels, which for our school's sake is going to normally like officially kind of dwell around younger years while you're at the academy. And as you get further along in school, again, this is like the official way to kind of, I want to say, like upgrade to the next level or get kind of like promote to the next level of spellcasting. They get more difficult. And I'm sure there's ways outside of school to level up, just
Yeah.
non-official ways.
Well, and I think too that the interesting part of the whole system as a whole that we've kind of figured out is that, like, um, because they start at such a younger age, that we've kind of already established that they would be ahead of the game, so to speak. Like they would,
Yeah.
we kind of figured that, those that are chosen for this school are the ones who are displaying at a much earlier age than what is typically average
Yeah.
a higher level of intelligence,
Mhm.
which would then give reason to be like, oh, well, you are at this, whereas everybody else is at this, which tells us that you might have the potential
Yeah.
to produce magic.
Yep. Exactly.
Which I kind of like, that, and starting at an earlier age, and not because I mean that's we had that established, and then we had to like shift everything up because we
Yeah.
realized that,
Yeah.
which was
Well,
kind of cool.
yeah. No, I think the way we went about it is like we originally had them starting at like 5 or 6. And
Uh-huh.
then we kind of realized, well, wouldn't it make more sense for them to go to like normal schooling for the first couple years? And then like somehow staff members from the academy, like they just have a system where they can just find those kids based off what they're able to display super early on in like their normal non-magical schooling. And then once they get picked, they'd be able to go to the what we call the primary or first 6 years of the academy. And it is hard. It is meant to be very, very difficult.
Well, and
Um,
that's why I was like, higher level of intelligence is like
yeah.
you are being picked because you are able to mentally handle
Yes.
this, whereas those who don't have this, that's why they're not here,
Yeah.
basically. And it's not even like oh, they're better than the others sort of thing. It's just because of that magic
Yeah.
or the potential for that. But I think that was something that when we fixed that, I really liked, just because they had that introduction with regular schooling before being pulled, but they weren't like 2 to 3+ years into
Yeah.
that before being pulled. And I think that was like our main concern, because we didn't want to be like, oh, you guys are going to be in first or second grade or whatever, and then swept away to a different institution altogether.
Yeah.
Whereas being pulled after like thinking of the American schools of like preschool, kindergarten sort of thing, whatever the European version of that is. But
Mm-hmm. Well, not just that, but like we also, because we shifted it a couple years back, they're also in the school for longer than your average American would be in high school. So normally you graduate around like 18 years old, but when you're graduating from the academy, you're more like 20, maybe 21.
which, in the last couple of years of that, because the last 3 years are focused on the specialties, it kind of like incorporates primary, secondary, and almost college level,
Mhm.
like all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I mean, the way I like to think about it is like when you get to the specialty years, it's like an accelerated learning process. So you're essentially going from like your typical 4 years, and the difficulty just gets exponentially harder to the point of like maybe being even master's level. So
Yeah.
it's not meant to be easy. It's supposed to be a pain in the ass. But you've been groomed for that level of difficulty by excelling in primary. So you are 100% capable.
Yeah, I think that's been one of my favorite parts of figuring out the whole structure. And then, of course, just like figuring out the various different types of like spells, because I think the amount of spells that I have figured out, like since that first episode,
Mm.
has actually like doubled, just because I took a different look. And if you pay attention to our Twitter, you know what I'm talking about.
Serial
um,
killer spells,
it was
that's what I
actually
call them.
like it was one of those kinds of things where it was like I felt bad, but it was so much fun.
This is borderline rated R
But I
fun.
mean, it was, I was thinking realistically too, because it's like, in a world of magic, you're going to have the people, like, you're going to have the spells that, are everyday use, everybody knows, and all that kind of stuff. But you're
Mhm.
also going to have spells that are not unlike that, but people wouldn't want to use on a day to day basis, or
Yep.
wouldn't want to use at all because of what they do.
Yeah,
So that's been fun, and I've gotten better at pulling the roots together.
I've noticed that. It's less
Because I think
awkward.
it's less awkward, and I've kind of done a little bit more research with it, which has made it a little bit more fun and figuring out like words that already exist that are based in Greek,
Brooke.
uh,
Yeah.
Greek roots. So that's kind of helped me to finagle it more realistically.
Mhm.
Um,
That's kind of like your baby.
it,
That
I
side
mean,
of the
okay,
project.
so
I'm just here to
spellcast
like
like
double check it.
spells to me is Thunderball to you.
Yeah, my Thunderball.
That is your baby.
It is mine, my
We each have
child.
our thing,
Yeah, that's true. I
which
don't
is
want you
like
touching my Thunderball.
no.
No
Well, and
offense.
that's the fun part too. Is like we have the parts that we've been working on very individually that we like pass to each other, and we're like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" But then there's like basically the rest of it where it's like we collaborate pretty evenly
Yeah.
on what we want to do.
Yep.
Um,
The Thunderball
it's
is
nice
mine.
being on the same page for most of it because that makes things really easy.
Yeah, it does. And like we don't have a problem saying like, yeah, no, that's a terrible idea, Jen. Don't do that. Actually, it's more the other way around. It's more like, I don't know how I feel about that, Alexis. It's fine.
But I mean, yeah, so we've definitely had a lot more that's gotten figured out. I part of me wants like I want to say stuff about the specialties, but at the same time, I think it's almost more fun to go and read about them just because it's so.
Yeah, I mean, do you wanna give like do you wanna talk about one of them maybe? That might be interesting.
Oh, which one?
I'll let you pick. What about one of Kara's? Both one of hers.
Um, well, and so that brings up that's okay. That works as a perfect segue, and you probably did that on purpose.
It's fine.
Uh,
Maybe?
um,
I'm not that good.
so trying to figure out how to like briefly explain this. So the specialties is, for lack of a better way of putting it, our the wand chooses the wizard sort of thing.
That's
Except
my
it's
saying for
that
it.
was your saying, yes. Except that at least I think, and I mean, you know, the wands like it was very personalized for each person, but I think the specialties kind of it's different than that in the sense that it's a very innate type of magic. You know, they're not picking it themselves. It's
Hmm.
something that kind of develops with them. And sometimes, like in Kara's case,
You
it
want to
kind of goes
explain who
along with.
Kara is? Because people are probably
So
like, who the
yes,
hell is
well, and I
Kara?
had
What are you talking
Kara
about?
is one of
That was also a
so
segue that I did on purpose, by the
it
way.
was because that was your idea to start a role play between the two of us of characters that we created that were based in that world so that we could literally put ourselves into that world to kind of flesh it out more.
Hmm.
And it took off really quickly.
That's my fault. That is 100% my fault. I'll take
It took off
responsibility
so
for
quickly.
that.
Like we started one day and then the
With
next we
one
were just like,
character.
"Ew."
Yeah, we started with each having one character, and then a couple days later, because I couldn't help myself, I've added. What are we at now? Like a total
I
of. God, let me look. Um, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So originally we both had one character, and now we're at the stage where we both have 5 characters, and I did that to us. That was
I
my
mean,
fault.
we've been
I couldn't help it.
handling our other writing loads, so that pretty much felt like
Well,
nothing.
you
I think
have. I haven't.
yeah, I mean, like the only, well, I think the only intimidating thing about this one was that it was purely ours.
Yeah. That's not
Like
intimidating. That's
we,
exciting.
well, I mean, like both, but I mean, like intimidating in the sense of like, you know, we're using this to help us figure out our world that we're creating, and it's been I mean, I don't think I could even list how many things we figured out within the first 24 hours of starting that. Like, it
Yeah.
happened so rapidly and
Yeah.
it just kind of grew. And I think, honestly, like within the first week is when we had so much more of this figured out.
Yeah, that's where all the like little details came into play. Just like being, having a character that we first, gave a certain personality, and that personality kind of fit them in a specific house and a specific specialty. And kind of creating relationships between characters and how those would work in this kind of scenario or world of ours. Just like gave us such brilliant ideas. That's how we got a lot of ideas for like new specialties. Is kind of going through like, well, maybe this person, this person's pretty much an asshole. He's an Aries, so what would he should be able to like manipulate people. That's where that came from mind manipulation.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the basis of the specialties is that each person has one, which is not the case with Kara.
Yes.
And that kind of like the not even like, I mean, yeah, our mythology of like the specialties is like I don't even know what I would say the percentage is, but like most people would only have one, and
Like
it
a
would
very
be
high percentage.
very high
It's very
percentage
rare to
would
have
only
more than
have
one.
one. And for someone to have more than one,
Very
I
rare.
mean,
Very difficult.
very rare makes them incredibly more powerful. Because let's see, with Kara, her two, she has light bending and time manipulation. Right?
Yep. And those two actually go together.
They do, and she is also our astronomy professor.
Yep.
Which goes into a whole bunch of other lore that I've established that makes me really excited about everything, because astronomy is fun.
Very fun.
If
you want to read about it, by the way, we'll put links down here.
It's gonna be a fun read, I promise.
Yes. a little borderline PG-13, just FYI. My fault. Mostly it's always my fault.
But yeah, I mean, the specialties are they're meant to be very innate, very like within that person's nature, which makes it interesting, because they may get something that they never would have thought would have been something that they would have had.
Mm-hmm.
And the same for the paradoses, I think, which we've also been having a lot of fun, but actually, yeah, just like with the specialties, they're very innate, very personal, very unique to each individual, even if there are several people who have the same one, or one is more common than the other.
Yeah.
And I think like with Kara's, like light bending and time manipulation, separately, they, are just what they are. But I think being Kara, that's probably one of the reasons why she has to, is because A, she's able to handle it, and B, she knows like she's capable of the power that comes with that, because having one specialty can be safe, whereas having two specialties, not necessarily.
Also, she's a Nike, so it makes sense.
She is Nike.
The two go together.
She's a badass.
Honestly, by far the most badass character that we have.
Yeah, she's been really fun to write. I've really enjoyed writing her.
I have all the silly boys.
Yeah, but they're boys. Cute.
Some of them are. Some of them are assholes.
But leading in with that, with the paradoses, it's been fun to kind of dive into those more and discover more about like the personalities of each house. And I know we each kind of picked our own for our Discord, and then we started going through and making our own quiz for them, and we're just we're not in the right house. Which is fine, but it's
yours makes sense. I'm like very even across the board. It scares me.
But I think honestly, like when we started going through that and then decided, for the sake of not just what we were doing, but for ourselves and the community, is we're not just going to sit where we want to be. We're going to sit where we belong. So once we finish that quiz, we'll be the first ones to take that, to kind of like reevaluate where we go, sort of thing, which is going to be kind of interesting when we finally get there, because we got an idea of it the other day and we were both just kind of like, oh boy. And that was only a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm excited to finish. We're like halfway done with it right now.
Yeah.
And it's just, that'll be fun to post on Twitter too, I think, to see what people take it, because I don't know, it would just be fun to see that and be like, oh well, instead of being, because the one I picked was Nike, It's a polar bear, and I like polar bears. Um, yeah, and I don't. I think I was tied between like three different houses. It was like
Oh yeah, at one point.
it was like I think it's Nike, maybe Themis and Hermes, or something. No, I think it's like Elios, which I did not want at all. No offense.
No, that one was more me.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like by far, we're
Yeah,
very heavy in Elios.
yeah, but it was. I mean, that was a fun thing for us though, because like even as we were just beginning to figure out what we wanted to do with it,
Mm-hmm.
we started and we were both just like, oh, we don't know ourselves as well as we think we do.
And I will put the form, the Google form, if you want to take the quiz, also in the description. If you guys are curious,
Yes.
so you can see what we're talking about.
Yes. And then as far as RPGs,
Oh, you're gonna make me talk about it.
that's
So
your baby. Slash idea.
all right, so we're gonna take a walk down memory lane. College, for me, I went to the Naval Academy, so I was very busy. I'm doing the long version of this story, as you that was not intentional, but I've already started, so I'm gonna finish it. Um, so I've been like writing, I think since I was in middle school, like writing online with people. I think I get it from my dad. It's just very, very creative writing wise. Um, and so ironically, actually, where I found Jen was we both write on like a Harry Potter website. And ironically, the very, very first thing I started writing on was the original Harry Potter boards. Ironically, I don't know if I told you that, but it's always been Harry Potter. So in college, I started getting into, I say role playing, but people they always think that's weird. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
dressing up
I get the same
and doing
reaction
weird
when I
shit.
say it.
So when I tell my friends that I write, I don't say I role play. I tell them I write. That's what it is. So
Yes.
I started getting into role play writing. Just mix the two together on Tumblr in college. And what I started learning about was these role play groups, and they're essentially just like writing groups of people, like a small community of people that kind of write together, kind of explore a different world or one that already exists, and they kind of expand it. And that's I have a lot of experience with that. And I just was like, I haven't done it in like probably since college, maybe a year or two after college. So it's been like 4 or 5 years. And I was like, hey, we have our own world here. Why don't we, to help ourselves kind of build on this lore, find other creative people like ourselves who can essentially do the same thing we are, like give us, write with us. And the best way I think to get ideas is from getting them from somebody else, somebody that's outside, the main core of people that work on it. So I was just like, hey, Jen, why don't we just make a role play group? And yeah, I mean, that's like, what is it now? The past 3 days, that's
I was about to say that's been our project for
almost,
literally like the last 4 days or so.
yeah, that's like the only thing we've been working on is putting together this like new homepage. And it's basically just like if you were to apply to Harvard when you go on like their normal Harvard academic website, that's what it's supposed to kind of be um inspired by. Lost words. And that's what we're kind of going for. So we're just we're like, I think it's going live. What is it? Going live tomorrow? At this time, actually, 6 p.m. EST tomorrow is when we'll start advertising for people to come in and come join us. So if you're a writer and you're interested, I'm gonna put it in the link. I'm gonna put it in the links below. Please feel free to hit us up, ask us questions, whatever you want. I'm
All
also
the
gonna
links.
I'm gonna also put our Discord link down there too, where we post our like development ideas and stuff. But something we're very excited to do.
Yeah, it's been an undertaking for sure.
It's a lot of work.
And I say your baby because like I wasn't as familiar with that kind of writing before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think between the two of us, if I'm doing my math correctly,
Oh
and I
boy.
very possibly am not because I'm not the mathematician of the two. The amount of like writing experience between us is easily like a combined 20 plus years.
Way more than that.
Yeah, well, 20 plus.
It'd be like more like I've been doing it for like 15 years. How long have you
Yeah,
been doing it
so that's
for?
probably more like
30.
30.
Yeah, exactly. Combined 30 plus years of writing and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think is huge, just because that's we're not going into this with nothing
Not knowing what the hell we're
on our
doing.
backs. Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely been a passion project that I feel honored to be able to help with
Oh,
and bring
don't
to
use my
life.
word. Don't put my word in there. Honored.
um, um, so yeah, that's been a lot of fun, and I've gotten to write for all the pages and like write all the lore and everything, which honestly, like, it's been a blast to kind of figure that out. But I think even just figuring it out along the way, like, we keep thinking of new
Mm-hmm.
things that work,
Yeah.
and
Things we
I
would
want
not
to
have
say,
thought
like,
of on
I
our
know,
own.
and it's like I think our acceptance rate for like ideas is like a solid like 70-30. We don't
I'd
have
say
very
more than
many.
that.
Yeah, like, we don't have very many ideas that we've passed between each other that we're like, no, I absolutely hate that idea.
Though I will tell you if I hate it.
Yes.
Just like you've told me you hate my stuff sometimes. Well, I guess it wasn't technically my stuff. Yes, sorry, go
No.
ahead.
Um, but I mean, yeah, just as a whole, it's grown significantly since our initial video, even
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
when we first did all of that. Like, it's grown so much. I'm excited to see where it's going from here.
Yep. We wanted to bring other people into kind of the process to see, so they can kind of feel and share that same excitement.
Which kind of, I mean, that's rooted in what we want to do, period, with
Yeah.
developing this. Like, that's part of our name of being perseverance developers, is that we're gonna keep going when the going gets tough, and having the sigma in there for the community, like,
Mm-hmm.
keeping everybody. Don't give me that look.
I'm just you're going like super cheesy, and you know how my cheese
That's
levels
where I
are.
came up with it, though.
I know, brilliant idea.
Yeah. um so definitely, I really liked the community based aspect of it and wanting to involve people, um which I think is why I get so excited when I ask for spell suggestions.
Yeah.
To see what other people have in their own unique minds.
Not only that, if you guys have spell ideas, like
Send them.
send them our way. Send
Send them.
anything, any ideas you have. We are more than happy to look at. I think we're very very open to those sorts of things.
Yeah, because it's helping us to kind of like think of other things as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've
100%.
we've been bouncing ideas back and forth and piggybacking a lot, and it's been really fun to have like giant brainstorming sessions.
Oh yeah. 100%.
um, that's what I got.
Okay. Well, I got something.
You go for it.
So, for anybody that follows our Twitter account,
Mm-hmm.
we have something super cool to announce, show you guys, reveal sounds like the best word.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
we
awesome.
yeah, so we wanted something to kind of like we wanted something to be more of like a symbol of like our game. So something more official, something that looks, like we're not just messing around anymore. Like this is again, this is going to be a several year project,
But
especially
it's
since
the real
there's
deal.
yeah, especially since there's only two of us for now. I'm sure it'll grow down the road. Is that how it works? So you have a very like I'm not so sure, but that's how it works. Jen, just it's okay. It'll be okay. I promise. Um, and yeah, so we had their name on Twitter is 88. Very very talented design group. They actually have done some previous stuff for me before. Um, So I guess actually I have two reveals here. So without further ado, I'm going to add. Show me the money. Oh god, I gotta go like sifting through my ridiculous amount of. Oh no. Oh, here we go.
We should have thought of that before.
I just thought about it right now. Okay, so check that
Yeah.
out. Here's our logo. Oh, bow! Look at that. That's pretty sexy, huh? All right, that's our logo. Um, it is awesome. Like it's super cool. I mean, we wanted it. We had a couple reference pictures of castles in Luxembourg, which is where our school resides, and I mean, we both think it's pretty
I mean,
sexy.
so when because I saw, what was it? You sent me the black and white version of it
Yeah,
or like the
the
grayscale
sketch.
version of it.
Yeah,
The sketch this morning, and I was
that was
just like,
yesterday morning, by the way.
was it yesterday morning?
Yes.
I don't even. The days are all blending together
I know.
anymore. I remember like seeing it, and I was just like, this is so cool. But I remember like my level of excitement with that went from like where it was to when I saw that, and I was like, oh my god, like
It killed it. Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Yeah. We feel a little bit more like the real deal now. Like it's something so simple, but just like the tiniest things. Like between that and the writing group that we've been putting together, it's I don't know. It feels like another step.
Which is what I was saying earlier, like it's starting to feel more real, like more like, I mean, it felt real before, but it's starting to feel bigger, like it's starting to grow, and it's growing very quickly.
Yeah, and it's not like just a project that we started and then we got bored and it's kind of like slipped off. Like this is something I think we started in like February, maybe late January, and it's
Somewhere around there.
almost end of April, and I do have a tendency to get really interested in something and then get bored with it and kind of wander off to do
But
other stuff.
Yeah,
this
is something that you've had for several years.
I've had this idea for several years, yes.
You know, and I think that makes a huge difference in knowing that, you know, there's something that you've been wanting to do and you've been working on, or even just had in mind for a long period of time. And now it's, you know, very slowly, but, you know, it's something's happening with it.
Yep. And it feels pretty cool. And that's why we like work on it every day, is because you don't understand how excited we are.
Like damn near every day.
Yeah. If not every day.
If not every day.
Except for the days you piss me off, but you know, that's okay. No, but honestly, we are having a lot of fun. And what we're gonna try to do is kind of have like a routine community update video here on my Darth Honor YouTube channel, just to kind of keep you guys up to date with what we're working on, what we've kind of figured out in the past. If you guys have any suggestions for our next video on what you want us to talk about, if you have any questions, you can join our Discord. Again, like I mentioned, we'll be down. Yeah, you can join our Discord. We have a number of channels in there for like different ideas or feedback, or yeah, spell ideas. Jen, you would make Jen so happy. You would.
Honestly,
you would make
like help me brainstorm, because I know I'm not the only person who's got ideas, and
yeah.
Oh my goodness, but yeah, I would love like a ask questions, answer video. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Or you could just go ahead and put them in the comments too. We will look at those.
Yes.
I think that's all I got. You got anything else?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think we covered everything.
Okay. Well,
we had a lot from last time to this time.
I feel we rambled more last time too.
That's okay.
Maybe.
You can discover more of it on the page. It's more fun that way.
Yes. Okay. We're gonna go now. We're gonna go back to working on more Blayse Academy stuff after I take a nap.
Yes.
Okay.
I will work on more Blayse Academy while.
Oh, that's what I forgot to say. You're like the writing. I was gonna say this earlier. You're kind of like the big. You love the writing part. I make you do the writing portions because it's harder for me to write. And I do all the coding, which is making me so happy. I get to code.
Yeah.
Nerding out. I spent like 6 hours straight yesterday coding, and it seemed to go by in like 10 minutes. I loved it. So much fun.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely that's like been a really fun part of everything for the page because there was like an aspect of the writing that was very informative,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had to like shift it from informative to narrative, which put a whole different lens on everything.
That's more of your ballpark. I'm more of the
Yeah.
informative type. I like the informative stuff. Or the stuff where I tell you what to do. The controlling stuff is good. That's good. You'll probably be able to tell what stuff I've written
Oh yeah.
versus what stuff Shen's written, because my stuff is very direct. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, we're actually gonna go now. Bye.
Bye.